folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Before I get started, I wanted to show you a little clip. I come down here by the creek. This is the back part of the property. Some of you probably figured it out. On the other side of the creek is the neighbor's property. Anyways, I come down here to do my video, and there's a big old black snake in the tree. So I'm going to show you a quick clip of that because some of you kind of like this kind of stuff. And of course, they're totally harmless. And no, I don't kill them or I don't relocate them. Sometimes they do end up in the chicken coop, but black rat snakes are, I think, beneficial to your property. So I'll show you the clip here. Got a big old black rat snake in this tree. I'm going to guess that he's at least 4 foot long. By the looks of it, maybe even just a little bit more than 4 foot. Getting ready to start a video and look over, and there's a big old black snake in the tree. I would guess he's probably 4 to 4.5 foot long. I don't know how well it comes across in the video, but you know, I'm standing here now filming, and he's probably about 6-7 feet from me, just kind of chilling on this limb. And I'd say he's probably between 4.5 foot long. This is the wonderful thing of living in the country. And for those of you that don't, those of you city dwellers, you're probably going, oh my goodness. You know, I see people post in groups and different forums and stuff that have recently moved to the country, and they've never lived out here, and they want to know what in the world you do with all these bugs, or what you do with the snakes, or what do you do with this or that. And you learn to deal with it. And some of them you can, combat, and other things you just kind of learn to live with it because it's different out here. And that's what I want to talk about today, is moving to the country, because it's important, I believe, for your survivability, for your safety, for your family, to get out of these corrupt, vulgar, just despotic, falling apart, just absolute disgusting cities. They're all over. The crime has gone up. I don't care how pretty of a city it is that you live in. I assure you, they're just, it's not worth living there anymore. And I want to encourage everyone I can that is like-minded to get out of those cities. And so today's video, not only do I want to talk about that, but really what I want to talk about is when you do move to the country, leave your baggage with you. Before I get started, I want to mention, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please do so. Usually about half of my viewers are not subscribers, and it doesn't cost you a thing to click that subscribe button, and it doesn't hurt you. You shouldn't be offended by it, and I don't think that anyone that watches me would be anyways. But click on that subscribe button and the bell icon off to the side. That way you'll get updates of when new videos are posted on this channel, which is almost every day. All right. Whenever I talk about moving to the country, and for those of you that want to ask, I live in the Ozarks, and I think it's one of the very best places to ride out the apocalypse, to live off the land and to raise a family. But it's not the only place in the country. I just believe it's one of the best. But when I do say those things, I get so much backlash from people that live here or that live in the country, and they're like, quit telling people that live in the city to move to the country. We like it out here for a reason, because we don't have any city slickers in the country. Quit telling all these city slickers to move to the country. Well, my argument is there's always going to be properties for sale wherever you live that are out in the country, and they're going to get bought up. I would rather encourage people that are like-minded, even if they're from the city, even if they've never lived in the country. At least they're like-minded, and I would rather have them as a neighbor than, someone that may not be like-minded, that's just moving out there because the land's cheap or something like that. But here's the thing, folks. You can't bring your city ways with you. You got to leave that baggage. One of the questions I do get asked a lot for people moving to the Ozarks, and I suspect it's this way in a lot of places in the country because I've been around a time or two. And Usually what I find in the country is not so much that people don't like outsiders. It's not so much that they don't like city slickers. It's not so much that people don't like the color of your skin or how you believe or how you live. In fact, here in the Ozarks, most people, they don't care none of that stuff. As long as you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. That's typically the attitude with most people in the Ozarks. And that works very well for me. But here's the thing. If you move to the country and you start bringing your big city ways with you, you want to go to the school board meetings, and when you want to change policies and you want to encourage the county road commission to improve the quality of the roads and to mow the sides of the roads better, or you want to change policies and politics and just behave in the manner that people behave in the big cities, that's what's going to get you. And that's where people are gonna turn their backs against you, and you're probably not going to have a lot of friends. You know, in these small towns out in the country, people just behave differently. People are friendly. Everyone acts like they're your friend for the most part. You break down on the side of the road, it won't take too long and someone will stop and offer to help you. If you bring city ways with you, city attitudes, treating other people like they do in the big cities, you're gonna get treated differently. And so, even though this seems so obvious to me, I think it's funny to even have to say it, but yet it is true. If you decide to finally break those shackles of slavery of living in the big cities and move out into the country where you can actually live a free lifestyle for the most part, you've got to leave that big city attitude with you. You know, you might get some chuckles. If you go into a farm store or you go into a hardware store, you're talking to your neighbor and you're asking him things, or you get something wrong, or you're confused about something that obviously everyone around here knows, they might chuckle at you. But for the most part, people are pretty cool with you. It's when you start acting like you're from the big city coming out here and you turn your nose down at people because they're too hillbilly, or because they're not refined enough, or because you complain that there's not enough little coffee shops, or because the roads aren't taken care of as well as they should be, or maybe there's just too many poor people out here, or the schools aren't as pretty as they need to be. That's what's going to hurt you in building relationships with people. And when you make the move to the country, to have your homestead and to be more prepared, one of the things that you need to put a lot of focus on also is getting to know the people around you. And even though there's a kind of a belief that people in the Ozarks are kind of standoffish about newcomers, I think it's kind of a myth. I think what it is that they're wanting to know what you're like. You know, are you moving out to the Ozarks or into this part of the community to fit in and be like everybody else and kind of behave like people do out in the country, or are you bringing in your big city values and your big city ways with you? And that's really what they're kind of waiting to see. Folks, there's been a lot of moving around of people over the past year or so. The new census just came out. The census reports just came out recently, and it showed that states of like California and New York and pretty much several other liberal states lost population. People were leaving those states. And then it showed the states where people were gaining in population enough to actually gain congressional seats, and almost every one of them were conservative states, Midwestern and Southern states. It's been a going joke for the last year of all the people leaving California, people moving to Texas. People have been moving to Missouri too. And that's okay if you come to these states with the intent of living the lifestyle that's out here. It may take a little while for people to get to know you because, again, people are a little standoffish. But if you show them that you're moving out here to live this lifestyle, to kind of be like the country people that are already out here, in the end, they're going to accept you and you're going to do fine. But you've got to stop moving out to the country and thinking for some reason it's going to be just like it is in the city. It's not. It's nothing like it. And I assure you, where we live out here, it's like a complete different country, a different part of the world as compared to some of these big cities, especially on the east and the west coast. So for those of you that are making the move, remember this. Remember that it's different out here. You're not going to have all of the services that you are used to in the city. You're not going to have all the conveniences. You're not going to get the varieties of food in your grocery store, or the varieties of food at a restaurant. You're lucky for these little towns to have one, maybe two little diners, and they both sell about the same kind of food, and it's nothing fancy. Grocery stores typically sell simple groceries, nothing fancy. Some things cost a little bit more just because it's out here in the country and it's harder to get things here, and these small stores can't buy as in bulk as the big stores do. These are things that you're just going to have to accept. The benefits far outweigh anything that you're going to find negative in the country. And even for people that are of different color skin, I can't speak for every part of the country and every rural area in America, but the friends that I have that are black and brown here in the Ozarks, and I do have several, they've all told me that they really have not dealt with a lot of racism. In fact, I have one friend that was born and raised in Chicago and told me that he's had less racism from white people here in the Ozarks than he ever did living in Chicago. He said it's so much better here. So again, I want to encourage everyone to make that move if at all possible. And there are still places that are for sale, and you can still get property pretty decent price. I have noticed over the last 12 months a definite increase in property value prices and housing prices in this area, but they're still very reasonable compared to the rest of the country. And when I find ones that I think would make probably a pretty good homestead, I post them over on my Patreon page. So if you're interested in those, for only $1 a month, you can join Patreon, and there's a link in the description for that also. But as far as a security perspective, raising your children in an environment that's away from all of this vulgarity, that's away from all of this basically sin. I don't know how other way to put it anymore. You can raise a family in much more traditional values out here in the country. And once you do move out here, or for those that are already living out in the country, you need to work on relationships, building connections with people, building your own community, not necessarily on your property, but with people that are like-minded around you. And if you're nice to people and you have little conversations with them here and there, it doesn't take too long before you'll find people that are like-minded, that think like you, that believe like you. They're all over. You've just got to, kind of speak out a little bit. I know that in the cities, people don't talk to each other. People don't even wave at each other. People don't make eye contact with each other. Out here in the country, that's okay. In fact, you can't hardly go to a store, at least in my area or anywhere that I've been in the Ozarks, in these little small towns, without striking up a conversation with someone. And it doesn't take too much to shift that conversation into opening the door or breaking the ice to kind of find out how they think and believe. And making connections like that is just as important as putting your food back in storage, of planting a garden, of having chickens, when it comes to your survivability when things get bad, of having those connections, people around that that you can trust a little bit better than just a regular stranger. They're like-minded. That they've probably got stuff stored up too, and they have skills, and maybe you can barter with them and you could trade your skills back and forth. This is important because the things that are happening right now, which I'm not going to get into, but you all know about them. It's crazy and it's bad and it's happening rapidly. And I think that, I know that it's causing us to head in a direction that I don't know if Hollywood could even describe in some dystopian movie. It's not a good direction for us. And that's why I get on here every day, even days that I don't want to, even days that I'm too tired or too busy to make a video. I do my best to try to make a video every day, because if I can just encourage one more person to be a little bit more prepared, to be ready for the stuff that's happening now and for what's happening in the near future, then I figure I've succeeded that day. So get your house in order. That means in every possible way, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And if at all possible, folks, try to get out of the big, polluted, disgusting, sinful, and big brother cities and get out here in the country where there's a lot more people like you. And for the most part, in most of these rural places, people don't really care how you live, as long as you leave them alone. All right, folks. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.